Welcome to Live on the Range. I'm Michael Breed. Checking in on these players as they prepare for their third rounds. It's going to be a long day, obviously. Some of the players have already played 9, 10, 11 holes in this day, and now cut day has happened. We're going to be out here checking in on these players, watching them as they get ready for this third round. And courtesy of our friends at Top Tracer, we're going to be able to look inside the numbers, understand what they're doing with trajectory, what are they doing with the curve of the golf ball, and how they're preparing for Belle Reve as they go out in this third round. Now listen, one of the things that's really important is for your interaction with us. We're taking your questions. If you've got anything, make sure that you get those questions to me, and for the next 30 minutes, I'm gonna be helping you understand how these players are gonna be prepared as they go out in this third round moving day at the PGA Championship. There he is, Tiger Woods. And Jordan Spieth. Jordan sitting at 3 under as he prepares for this third round. 7 shots back of Gary Woodland. Shot 4 under in his second round. Michael Greller right there. You see Jordan with that driving iron, the graphite shaft. That's something that's creeping back into the game. These driving irons, the distance that these players are hitting the golf ball nowadays. We saw Tiger earlier today on PGA.com with Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas. We saw Tiger hit a number of tee shots with a driving iron. Belle Reve is receptive to low scoring. We saw 263s, 264s. Question right off the top with Michael here. How will today play compared to yesterday? I think it's going to be very comparable. The golf course got some rain late yesterday afternoon and into the evening, and it's soft. The greens are receptive. We saw some of the players finishing up their second rounds this morning, and the greens were very soft. The fairways were soft as well, and that expands the width of the fairways. So I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw this morning. This is what we want to get to. This is a look at, courtesy of Top Tracer, some of the really interesting information. We're going to see carry distances, obviously ball speed, and how similar each shot looks to the one before. You can see this one and the one prior almost identical. That one launched 1 degree lower at 10 degrees. The landing angle identical, 35. Ball speed 150, and the carry distance 245. This is where you find out just how in tune these swings are. We would know that they're all playing pretty good golf as they make the cut, but on this day, moving day, they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. Now you see a shot like that that's curving a bit more to the right. The apex is also a little bit higher. One of the things these players will do in their preparation is to work the ball in both fashions. They might see what a hole location is as they have the hole locations for this third round, and there might be a par 3 or a tee shot or something along those lines that they're preparing for. And so you know what they'll do? They'll imagine that, and then they'll hit that shot. The things that Jordan has been working on with his longtime coach Cameron McCormick is the rotation of the forearm and the club face in the backswing. He commented earlier this year on how he felt like he was hitting the golf ball really well you know, up to that 6-iron, but it's taking a little bit more time for him to be able to get it into the longer clubs, and coming off that 4-under round that he just had in the second round here of the PGA Championship. It appears as if he's getting a little bit more comfortable. Now switching to his fairway wood. We'll obviously see the ball speed pick up and the distance pick up as we pick up Tiger Woods. What a round of golf Tiger played. Bogeyed his 10th and 12th holes. And really had his wedges dialed in. I'm looking for something special out of Jordan in this third round, and we're going to cover him in our featured group coverage on PGA.com. I think he's going to be a bit more aggressive. I think this golf course asks for that. It'll be interesting to see how Chief Championships Officer Kerry Haig has set the golf course up as we look at Tiger. This is likely a 6 or 7 iron, judging from the loft. The question for Tiger in this championship has been, how is the driver going to treat him? And we will look forward to watching him when that driver comes out of the bag. You can see how he's working on shaping this shot. Really has the irons dialed in. That body rotation. Much quieter hand activity. And if you pay attention to the path of his hands in the downswing, you're going to see that they are similar to the path of the hands in the backswing, or maybe slightly above. So when he takes the club back on this angle, his hands are kind of going through his right bicep, and in the downswing it's slightly above that as we go back to Jordan. Notice how deliberate Jordan is over his shots as he prepares, where Tiger is hitting them a little bit more frequently. That's a different type of preparation. One's warming up, one's actually focusing a little bit more on maybe some technique. Jordan being that 274 yards with the 3-wood, apexing it at 107 feet. As this ball speed starts to pick up, what tends to happen with players is they start trying to flight this up into the air a bit more. And with the driver, we see the really high ball speed players. Rory McIlroy, he'll get up into the 183, 85 range. That ball will apex for Rory at maybe around 120 feet. Jordan will be right around 110, as well. There he is at 109. And his ball speed at 166. So that's quite a bit less than what Rory will top out at. There's 169. He's trying to get a little bit more pace. Tiger Woods will be in the 170s, mid 170s, 175, 176, right around there. Notice too, by the way, with Jordan, how he's always moving. Hands are moving, feet are moving, clubs moving, something's moving. He'll be bouncing that club a little bit. This one he's turning over. That's the other thing that you'll notice is that when players start drawing the golf ball, that as a rule, not always, but as a rule, when they're drawing the golf ball, that trajectory will be a little bit flatter. And when they're fading the ball, it'll have a little bit higher apex. As we start looking at Tiger here, Tiger had put the graphite shaft driving iron in his bag in the first round, and he switched it out in the second round. And he's typically getting that's a fairly common number for Tiger. He's going to get right around 250 with that driving iron. Don't be surprised, by the way, if you see Tiger change shirts. You see him shifting gloves, he'll change shirts as we go back to Jordan. That's a little unfortunate, that umbrella. A lot of people seeking some shelter. You'll see Tiger taking his time. Now, let's not forget, Tiger's already played 11 holes. As he was in the 8th fairway after his tee shot when the delay came in. He finished up. Look at that. Jordan doing a little room service as Jordan heads over to the putting green, and that's really the area where we've all discussed it, where Jordan will need to be successful. If he's going to be successful, he's going to have to start making some putts. We saw Tiger hit a brilliant fairway wood on his 17th hole in round 2. It led to a birdie. That Webb Simpson there. Big week for Webb, sitting at number 8 on the Ryder Cup points list, and this the last week for players to accumulate points towards the Ryder Cup. Webb wants to make sure that he is not left off that team. He as well sits at 4 under. This is Tiger, just these are smoother swings. He's just stretching it out. He's not going after anything particularly hard, and you can see the advantage that a Tiger Woods is going to have here over, say, a Jordan, just because of clubhead speed. That ball speed jumping up to 169 with this 3-wood. Working that ball both left to right and right to left. And you see the ball speed jump up as he starts turning it to the draw side. I think we'll get a little break here from Tiger, and then he'll pull the driver out as we check in on Jason Day. Jason Day currently at 5 under par through this championship. And that has him at tied 12th. A fantastic drill that he's got going on here. We've seen him do this for the prior 2 rounds. He's got an alignment stick that's parallel to his toe line, and then he's got a stick that's perpendicular to the target line with the golf ball just in front of it. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to get a little bit steeper angle of attack on the golf ball. Kind of feels like sometimes he gets underneath it. Speaking of underneath it, this is what you worry about with Tiger. Tiger starts working underneath that plane, underneath that golf ball. He loses some shots to the right. When Tiger is driving it well, and we saw him hit a number of good tee shots in the second round, it's when he really moved the ball from left to right. He's also made an adjustment where he's gone to a wider stance. Tiger not currently working with anybody on his golf swing. Look at that ball speed jump up to 178. That's a faster ball speed than Tiger has had in this championship. And he talked about how over the last couple of months here, he started to lose a little club head speed and started to lose a little ball speed. He took an ice bath on Monday morning, didn't play any practice round on Monday, just wanted to allow his body to relax a little bit, calm down. You can see the amount of time that he's taking in between shots. And again, please feel free to send us questions here. Here's Peter who has one. What swing thoughts can you use to manage those mid-round slumps when your rhythm or tempo disappears? This is a wonderful question, Peter, because we do go through this period of time. What would be a great swing thought? Well, one of the swing thoughts, my father was not a golf professional, but he did have some great insight into motion. He was a great athlete, and one of the things that he told me when I was younger, and I've used it with a number of players through my coaching career, has been when you lose that tempo, to imagine that you were swinging a golf club in a bottle of shampoo, and the resistance of that shampoo is going to assist you with going slower. So that's one of the ideas that I would share with you. The other idea that I can share with you is, and I've got two others. The other idea is sort of imagining that you're going to pause at the top of your backswing like Hideki Matsuyama, and how when Hideki takes the club back, there's a distinct pause at the top of the backswing. That is something that will help you with your tempo. And then finally, one of the ideas that I try to give to my students, and it really helps, is imagining that you're in a car and you've got a cup of water or liquid of some sort, not alcohol, coffee maybe, in the console of your car right next to you in your driver's seat, but you don't have a lid on it. And what you're going to do is you're going to get up to 60 miles an hour, but you're not going to spill any of that liquid. And what you're going to find is that as you have gradual acceleration, your tempo is going to get a little bit better. As we see Tiger now done with the driver, now he's going to just warm down a little bit. So this is maybe a pitching wedge or a 9-iron or something along those lines. And he's going to be picking some targets. He had some wonderful wedge swings today, controlling the distance and the spin beautifully. I think imagining, by the way, that you're swinging a wedge, if you lose some tempo, imagine that you're swinging a wedge. Helps people a lot. One of the things that I like to do with players on the practice tee with clubs that they struggle with tempo on is to have them alternate swings. So you keep your pitching wedge, lean it up against the bag. Maybe you're struggling with the tempo in your 3-wood. You're a little uncomfortable with the lack of loft or whatever it is. Hit one shot with the 3-wood, hit the next shot with the pitching wedge, and try to mimic that tempo and rhythm that you're going to have. It's a wonderful question, and again, please feel free to reach out to us here on Live on the Range as we look in, courtesy of Top Tracer, provide some information to you on what these players may or may not be doing as they prepare for moving day in the third round of the 100th PGA Championship. Tiger going to the wedge. Jason Day moving to the driver. And to Jason's left, that's Stuart Sink right there. Past Open champion. Look at how deliberate Jason is. Probably left of what he was trying to do. Plenty of ball speed, 174. But likely a miss hit. One of the things that I love about looking in on these players, and something that you certainly can learn from, is how they will start many times from behind the ball, the way they would when they were on the golf course. Damon Green right there to Jason Day's right. He's the caddy for Zach Johnson, who's one of those players that's not in the top 8 on the USA Ryder Cup points list, but many feel as he may be a captain's pick. And I happen to think that Tiger Woods is going to be a captain's pick on the Ryder Cup. Remember, all the points that Tiger has achieved have all come this year in about 7 months. As we remind you that on PGA.com, our featured group coverage includes Jordan Spieth, Matt Wallace, and Andrew Putnam. Matt Wallace, who many of you are not familiar with, you will become familiar with. Beautiful golf swing. Andrew Putnam, also brother of Michael Putnam, and a recent winner. Now that would be a shot that Tiger would have hit, imaging his shot off of the first tee. So you pay attention to what Tiger would be doing, and it's likely that he's going to be hitting that driving iron. You can see he's going to sweat through that shirt. He's probably going to go get another, and it wouldn't be surprising if he changed shirts mid-round as we go back to Jason Day. Here's a question from Greg. Will the Midwestern heat and humidity be an issue today with the players? I don't believe so. I would say that, you got to remember, these players train. They are so wise with their preparation for the golf course and their preparation for a round of golf. They're going to have hydrated properly. They will eat properly. They will, in their bag, have nutrition to consume. They'll drink lots of water. And one of the things, back to that question, one of the things that they will do, and one of the things that I would remind you that you must do, is when you go play, and it's going to be particularly hot, dehydration will set in before you even get out to the golf course. You've got to drink a bottle of water before you get out into that heat, because you've got to make sure that you fill the tank up. And if you go out there and you have not had that water prior to playing, when you start drinking water, it's already too late. So you want to make sure that you drink some water, a full bottle of water, before you go out to go play. My good friend Dr. Ara Sapaya, who I jokingly call the deputy mayor of Positive Town, Dr. Ara Sapaya suggests that overnight what you should do is have a glass of water with some lemon in it. Let it sit out overnight so that it's at room temperature when you wake up in the morning. And the first thing you should do, and this will help you with dehydration as well as fighting off colds, is to drink that glass of water first thing in the morning. And then one of the things that you'll also come to understand is that you've got to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're eating when you're out on the golf course. So many times players will struggle in those latter holes, and it's not because the pressure is getting to you or that you feel like you're choking, as much as you have lost some nutrition, you've lost some energy, and so you need to eat, constantly be eating stuff as you're going through the course of your round. As Jason Day heads over to the putting green, getting ready for his round. And we look in on Pat Perez. This is one of those guys who has tremendous talent. Many people thought that Pat, who currently sits at 6 under and 4 shots back, would be one of those guys that may have won a major. He's put himself in position many times as he prepares for an interview with Amanda Balionis. You know Amanda from TNT, CBS. That's a look at the range here at Belle Reve. Here's Greg with a question. Is the national media overlooking Woodland? I don't think they're overlooking Woodland. I think they're very aware. Gary Woodland is a very talented player, immensely talented, and the prototype touring professional, and then some. And what I mean by that is he's a guy with tremendous ball speed. He talked about, you know, he's got a team around him that is extremely impressive. Started working with Phil Kenyon on his putting, who is regarded as one of the finest putting coaches in the world. Kenyon not as well known over here in the States as he is in the UK, as that's where he is from. But he's got Phil Kenyon helping him with his putting. Pete Cowan, who's another extremely well-respected coach out here on tour and also from the UK, is helping him with his short game. And then, of course, Butch Harmon, who's a guy who we all know. That's a look at Jason Kokrak, who's also a guy who can hit the ball a prodigious distance. But Gary Woodland talked about in his interview how this is the best he's ever felt with his game. He's driving the ball as good as he ever has, and the putting is really coming around. Made a switch to a thicker putting grip. And one of the things that I would suggest at home, you want to take your hands out of the putting stroke. You want to try to get better with your distance control. Are you three putting a lot? Get a putting grip that is a little bit thicker. I have on my putting grip, and what I suggest with all my players, Golf Pride has a grip called the Tour Sensor, which is a 104 or 140 cc putter grip, and it's built up and it helps take the flip out of the hands. And Gary talked about how he's releasing the putter completely differently now that he's gone to a different putter grip, which is a Super Stroke, and it's a thicker grip, and he's not releasing the putter so much with a flip of the wrists as much as a rotation of the forearms, and his distance control has improved, and he's making a lot more putts, driving the ball well. It's a great recipe here at Belle Reve. And there's Tiger Woods over on the putting green. The transition Tiger made to this putter that he has been a very wise one. He had a 3-putt bogey on the 12th hole in today's round from 101 feet was the distance that he had. He lagged it up there to about 4.5 feet and misread the putt. He hit a great putt, he just misread it. And that was one of only 2 bogeys on his round. As we look at the Ryder Cup captain, Jim Furyk, getting ready for his round of golf. And he talking to Damon Green. Damon, as I told you, caddies for Zach Johnson. Maybe Damon putting in a few good words for Zach. Come on, pick us. Question here from Scott. Do the players change ball position with the ball sitting up on these fairways? Nah, not really. What they'll do with ball position is they'll change the ball position relative to the shot that they're trying to hit and the hole location. So for instance, if I'm going to try to elevate the ball because I've got a club that I need a little bit higher apex, a little bit steeper descent angle, well, then I might nudge that ball position up a bit, get that golf ball coming in a little bit softer. Now around here, with as soft as these greens are, that might not even be something that they would do this week. But no, they won't do that. And they also talked about, Woodland talked about this in his interview, they're cutting the fairways just a little bit shorter in round 2 and 3 than they did in the practice rounds in round 1, as we peek in on Dustin Johnson, who sits at 7 under par, just 3 shots back. Will he pick up another major? Butch Harmon talked about Dustin Johnson as one of, if not the most talented players that he's ever worked with. And oh, by the way, he's worked with a lot of really talented players. Amongst others, Gary Woodland. And that right there is Claude Harmon III. That's Butch's son. And he also coaches Dustin Johnson. Nick Watney having a chuckle. This is a warm-up session for these players. Notice, by the way, in the low right corner there, you see Dustin with the TrackMan. It's not uncommon to see launch monitors out here on the practice tee on a Saturday or a Sunday, because what these players want to do, and when you're playing, and you know, we've used this word a lot, precise. The distance that the golf ball will travel at 9 in the morning will be different than it will travel at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 2:27 when Dustin Johnson tees off. And he will want to know exactly how far his swing of a certain distance. So he may have a 60-yard swing or a 65-yard swing or an 80-yard swing, and he wants to make sure it's going that distance. The precision that these players play under is so fine. And so while he won't be looking at the TrackMan numbers, there will be somebody that will. It may be a caddy or a coach or a friend that's out on the practice tee. They'll be looking at it and they'll be monitoring that. So fun to be able to get down here and have this insight, look at these players as they prepare for this final major of the year, the 100th PGA Championship. And a reminder, coming up on PGA.com, our featured group coverage includes Jordan Spieth, Matt Wallace, and Andrew Putnam. You can follow every shot of all three of those players, see how they orchestrate their third round of the PGA Championship. And you can join me over there. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for joining me here. We'll see you over on PGA.com.